Hey, this is Taylor Beitz, and this is the Step Over podcast.
So I'm joined by, I believe, a player from Ottawa who is the most recent Ottawa addition to the professional ranks. Her name is Taylor Beitz, who's from Ottawa, playing professionally in France now with FC Nantes. Taylor, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, yeah. My first question, did I say the name of your team right?
Yeah, that was spot on. Actually, a lot of Canadians will say Nantes or something like that, but yeah, FC Nantes, it's perfect.
So soccer aside, you're living in France now. Like, how has that transition been for you? Like, do you feel kind of settled there now, or?
Yeah, so actually, I went on my first year being in France. Last year, I played at Yzeure, which is more honestly dead smack in the middle of France. So I have about a year under my belt, which is nice. The first few months were definitely a little bit of a culture shock, but I'd say now I'm definitely used to it. It's a second home for me. I really enjoy the country, really enjoy the style of play as well. And I speak French, so that helps a lot on and off the field. So it's been great so far. I can't complain.
Fantastic. Yeah, like had you been to France before, or like was this your first time?
I I had not essentially traveled to this side of the pond, in Europe, and more well the east side. I've done North America and all that, but yeah, first time in Europe. As soon as I landed, it was yeah France, first country in Europe.
Right on.
Yeah.
So before we get into anything else, like I want to cover the basics. I want to get to know more about you. So you're from Ottawa. Like, what neighborhood did you grow up in?
So I'm actually from Cornwall, Ontario, which is
Okay.
about an hour from Ottawa. It's a little small town. But I played 1 year with West Ottawa out in Canada, and then I spent the rest of my years in Ottawa playing for OSU.
Okay. So we're gonna include Cornwall in Ottawa. I know most Cornwall people might not like that, but you're in the 613.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, did you have any like favorite hangout spots? Like either in Cornwall or like, when you were in Canada?
Honestly, between traveling an hour and 45 minutes to practice Canada or an hour and 15, 20 with traffic to George Nelms, I didn't really have much time to hang out at right from we'd get out of school. I'd have 10 minutes at home to grab a bite to eat and jump in the car and go. So in terms of that, not necessarily, but in Cornwall, I had a few, well, obviously the Starbucks, and we'll just hang out. Like I had a pool. We had a nice deck. We moved, but nice deck and pool in the backyard. So just hanging out at home, having friends over and stuff like that on the odd times that we had time off. So yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't know that you had to travel so far for your club soccer. Why living in Cornwall did you choose to, play with West Ottawa and like play with OSU?
Yeah,
Long way to
so
go.
yeah, so I started originally out in Cornwall with through the youth system there, and then I think around 12, 13, I made the decision to make the jump, and I wanted to go play. At the time, it was OYSL. I'm aging myself a little bit. It's no longer that, but yeah. So OYSL, that was the goal. West Ottawa, I just get promoted. I believe it was regional up to OYSL, and so I made the jump. I knew that I wanted to pursue soccer, and at that time the goal was to get exposure in the provincial league and then have the opportunity to potentially go play in the States on a scholarship. So that was the goal and made the jump. It was kind of like now or never at the 13-ish age is really when you kind of make that decision. So yeah, I just went for it and luckily it all worked out.
Like what was your first introduction to soccer? Like how long have you been playing?
I started playing, I think, when I was like 3 or 4, just in your casual Timbits little league, once a week kind of thing, and where everyone crams in the middle, kicks each other, and stuff like that. But my mom was a tennis player, my dad was a hockey player.
Okay.
No one played soccer in my family, and my parents were just like, "What do you want to do?" And I said soccer, and it stuck. So yeah.
Was there a reason? Like, did you have friends that played soccer or?
Yeah, in like preschool and elementary, everyone played soccer, even at recess. So it kind of just was the sport that everyone decided to go, and I not necessarily followed, but just decided I wanted to do it as well and join in.
Okay. And like was that the only sport that you played or did you play anything else as you were growing up?
Growing up, I played a lot of sports. I think that also helped me develop as an athlete. So elementary and high school, I played basketball, volleyball, track and field, badminton, you name it. I pretty much played everything other than hockey. And I truly believe that that helped me develop even more as an athlete. So that was great. I had a really great experience growing up. So great memories.
Is there any sport in particular that you think kind of helped make you better at soccer? Like,
Yeah, for sure. I think basketball helped me a lot.
okay,
Uh, just with obviously you're playing with your hands, so obviously technically catching a ball, throwing a ball. I think also the reading routes, reading the court for basketball, but just being able to tactically see things before it happens or predict or analyze situations. And obviously just I think taking a break from soccer and able to still be athletic and think soccer minded wise, but in another sport helped me one appreciate soccer more, and two, I think allowed or added another tool in my toolbox to be a better goalkeeper.
okay. So have you always been a goalkeeper then?
No, up until 11 or 12, I was a striker.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, and then the typical our goalkeeper got hurt in a tournament and then no one wanted to go in. I offered to go in and they originally said no 3 times and then I persisted. Finally was allowed to. Um, and then we ended up winning that tournament in PKs and then I've never come out of the net since. So yeah.
So you fought to be a goalkeeper. Was that like
Yes. Yeah.
did you always want to give it a try?
Well, I think like as a striker, you love scoring on goalkeepers, but at the same time, I think if you think the opposite, you as a striker, I kind of knew the tendencies of where we want to shoot, how we want to, where we want to put the ball. So I thought to myself, well, why not just give it a try, and it stuck. So so far so good.
So do you still kind of think like a striker sometimes?
Yeah, definitely. I think, well, in our I almost spoke French there. Sorry, my brain, English and French. I think in our the way we like to play here at Nantes, obviously you're just like a field player. So we always start off a session where we're integrated directly into the game, playing with our feet, whether that be in directly in the game as a I want to say appui, which is a French word, but kind of a joker player, or we're literally on the sides in supporting roles. So it definitely helps. Yeah, so in that sense, always thinking as a field player for sure.
Okay. So is there a point that you decided that like you really wanted to take soccer seriously? Like you want to kind of pursue this as like a goal?
Yeah, I think around the time when I made the jump to go to Ottawa, I also was training with Tanya Singfield, goalkeeper coach with Golden Gloves Academy at the time.
Okay.
Uh, and I think it finally clicked in my head that like if I really commit to this, I could make something of it, and really make a career out of it, and two, have opportunities open up for me. So I think around 14, 15 is when I really started decided like, okay, I'm going for this, and let's go at 100% all or nothing. So yeah.
So what ended up happening is you went to the University of Arkansas. Was that like was NCAA a goal of yours from like that 14, 15 age?
For sure. Yeah. I think first and foremost at the time, that was kind of our pathway. It was like
Yeah.
OYSL, then you go to university more or less in the States. For me, that was a goal anyways to go to a D1 school. So yeah, that was a goal right away, and that's kind of was the forefront of my brain. And luckily, I was fortunate enough to make that happen.
Okay. So you went to Arkansas, you were a Razorback to play university
Yeah.
ball. So why Arkansas? Like what brought you there and what was that university experience like for you?
Yeah, I actually initially my first year, which was my redshirt year, I started at the University of Minnesota, and
Oh,
then
okay.
I transferred down to Arkansas. But honestly, as soon as I went on my visit to Arkansas and when I was in the transfer portal, I don't think unless you're in it, the SEC and just how the sports conference in the SEC and how much they invest in their facilities, in their athletes, and everything, especially I can speak for Arkansas, it's incredible. Like you're in the most professional conditions on and off the field. They take care of you, nutrition, athletic trainers, doctors, anything you could ask for, you have it. So it was an amazing experience. I loved my time at Arkansas. I can't complain.
Fantastic. So when did you officially sign with Nantes?
So this summer, I was a free agent this summer after my 1 year with Isère. And we actually played Nantes in the Coupe de France semifinals
Okay.
at home at Isère. And then this summer, when the transfer window opened, they contacted my agent, and the rest is history.
So this is your second professional contract then, right?
Yes.
Everyone, especially from Canada, like everyone has like a different path to turning pro, and it's really not easy. And I think especially for women because we don't have we don't have a professional league. So what was the path like for you? Like, did you get like an agent or like what was that process for you?
Well, for me, transition from Canada to the US, obviously went to university there, got my degree. So thankfully, God forbid something happened, but at least, at that time that was the pathway and we have a backup plan per se.
Okay.
But so how it happened was I finished I did 4.5 years at Arkansas. I started my master's and I kind of I have that on pause right now. But within that window, I played one summer in Jacksonville, Florida with a UWS team, which is a semi-pro. I think now it's turning into the second division for the NWSL, or it will be in a couple of years, just to give some context. And then that summer had an agent, and essentially he got in contact, or Isra actually contacted him regarding me. He posted my profile, my resume and everything, just from Arkansas and even club a little bit. And then they offered me a contract and I signed and went on my first professional contract there.
Okay. Now you speak French. Was that like a big appeal for Isel?
Yeah, I think it definitely helped. I was targeting obviously Europe. I think for me, being able to come over to Europe and see a different style of play, the American, especially at Arkansas or even in the SEC, how some teams like to play. It's more physical, more direct in terms of it's just more of a athletic game. And I think being able to come over to Europe and see a different side or a different style of play, more possession based, swing it around, act as a third center back and really be involved in the game has really helped me, and I'm evolving as a goalkeeper as well as a human. And I think it's taught me a lot of great things thus far since being in Europe.
Okay. So how did that first season go for you as your first professional season?
I think it went pretty well.
You came back for another year, so.
Yeah, well, Isère was a small team per se budget-wise. Let's say compared to, for example, an FC Nantes, kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of just infrastructure and everything. Yeah, so Isère, first year, I think it was a success for the club. Individually, I felt like I grew a lot. I've added some obviously experience to my resume, as well as just some really good learning experiences in terms of growing as a goalkeeper. I believe we finished third last season, and we had an amazing run in the Coupe de France tournament. I'm not sure if you know what that is exactly.
Would you like to tell us about it?
Sure. Essentially, it's like around November, December. It's a tournament, essentially all of France. So all the teams enter into the tournament from D1. So you have your top D1 teams, and then you have your D2 teams, and then you have your region, which is R1. And essentially
so it's like your Open Cup then?
Yep. And so essentially what happens, it's kind of like the NCAA tournament where you have your top 64. And so you play the first round, second round, third round, fourth round, so on and so forth. But it's like immediate knockout. So if you lose, you're out.
Okay.
But what's cool about this tournament is as you get further in, you have these underdogs who essentially can have great runs in the tournament, where they're not supposed to win, or they come up against a couple D1 teams and they knock out a D1 team in D2. And so we had a great run. We actually went to the French Cup, the Coupe de France finale, and we played against PSG last year.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so it was funny because I had no idea that this even existed in November when we started. I just saw that we had an extra game on our schedule the following week, and I was like, "Well, what's this?" And they explained it. And then 6, 7 months later, we find ourselves in the final against PSG. It was quite a great experience, and I think just experiencing that in my first year, in my first season, first year in France was quite cool.
Yeah, so you're on the field against PSG. Like,
Mhm.
tell us a bit more about what that game was like and what was going through your head, like the players that were on the field.
Um, well, I think first and foremost, it's PSG. You have some
Yeah.
of the best, you have some of the best players in the world. At the time, Katoto, who was the best striker, I would say probably one of the best strikers in the world. Unfortunately, she's injured now, out with an ACL. But no, it was cool. I think it was a great learning experience. Took a lot of takeaways from that game, tactically and technically, more so tactically. But it just shows, that's they're best of the best Champions League, team. So that's where you aspire to be one day. And I think it was a great learning experience and kind of an eye opener to see, like, okay, it's possible, but there's some work to be done. And I think it was cool to also experience the whole journey to get to that point. I think it was quite amazing, and to make history for the club, for the region, even for the league, was a quite a cool accomplishment. And yeah, it was a great experience.
That's so cool. Okay. So you're with Nantes now for this season.
Yes.
How is the season been going so far?
So far, preseason's been great.
Okay.
Um, we actually have our first league game this Sunday at
Okay.
home opener. But yeah, preseason's been going well. We got some good results, good learning experiences as well. We have quite a few new faces in the team, including myself. And so I think it's been good to get to know how each other, our tendencies, how we like to play, just really getting to know each other on the field and off the field has helped as well. So I think we've put some really good things in place to have a great season. So I'm excited to see how it plays out.
And there's actually another player on the team who's from, the 613
Yeah,
Pilar Curry.
yeah.
Was that like did she have any part of you joining the team, or was that just kind of like a happy coincidence?
I think it was just a happy coincidence. But even better because she's a great person. I love her. She's so kind, so intelligent, so tactically and technically intelligent. I think she's a great asset to our team. And I often ask her input at practice. I'll ask her to be extremely exigeant, very high standards for me, and essentially be another coach on the field. She's brilliant. She's technically and tactically brilliant. She's actually passing her, or she's about to pass her UEFA A license for coaching. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So about you, like how would you describe yourself as a goalie? Like what's your goalie style?
Um, I would like to describe myself as more of a modern day keeper. I enjoy being the third center back and supporting my center backs and outside backs. Um, I like to think myself of being able to be the first line of attack, but also the last line of defense. I'd like to just be a more modern keeper and be technically and tactically sound and um, save some games for my team and win some points for the season.
Okay. Um, so a question that I should probably have asked players before, because I'm curious about how, professional players from Canada, what the relationships are with like Canada soccer and like what is like Canada soccer aware of all the players playing professionally. Like when you turn professional, do you get anything from Canada soccer that says like, hey, we're aware that you're playing professionally and we're keeping an eye on you, or does that not happen for all the players playing pro?
I think it's extremely dependent on the player.
Okay.
I think that is more of a personal relationship with yourself in Soccer Canada.
Okay.
Um, I know that they are aware of me. I'm on the radar and all that stuff. And probably similarly, well, as you can tell, Clarissa Larissy also just had her first cap, so that's
Yep.
amazing. But yeah, so I think for more or less, I want to say that they're aware of everyone, but I think it's a very player by player case scenario.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. You've been really generous with your time. I just have a few quick questions to ask
Yeah.
you before I let you go, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, of course.
What's your favorite sport besides soccer?
Ooh, basketball.
Okay. Do you have a favorite basketball team?
I'm a big Steph Curry fan.
Okay, so just whatever team Curry's on.
Well, Golden
I
State Warriors.
mean, yeah. What is your favorite soccer field in the 613? I usually say Ottawa, but because you're from Cornwall, I'll say the 613.
Oof. I'm gonna go with. I know they've done some renovations, which I haven't been able to see, but back in the good old days, George Nelms was our
Yeah,
little.
it's been upgraded. Yeah.
Apparently, I've seen pictures, but I haven't actually seen it in person. But yeah, good old George Numfield. They're pretty
Okay.
good. They were pretty good back in the day as well.
Okay, right on. Um, who has had the biggest impact on your career so far?
Hmm. I think my family. I think I can't thank them enough for one, instilling the confidence that they have in me, and two, pushing me further than I thought I could, and believing in me when I didn't believe in myself, and allowing me to grow into the goalkeeper and human that I am growing into.
And it's a lot of gas money they spent, apparently. So
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Yes, thank you for the long nights in the car, getting home at midnight and then having to wake up at 6 a.m. But yes.
um, who is the best player you've ever played with or against?
Oof. I'll give you both.
Okay,
Uh, oh God. Well, against would be uh, you name it, any PSG player.
sure.
Otto, Bachman, Ashley Lawrence, Jordan Heitma, any of those girls. Incredible athletes, incredible soccer players. Best player played with um, uh, Jess at Arkansas. Jess,
Yeah.
the Canadian. I'll go with her. As
Sorry, what
well
was the last name? You kind of got like a little fuzzy there.
De Filippo. Jess De Filippo. She's from Montreal. She's also with I believe she's in the national team program as well. But she was with me in my last year of Arkansas. Incredible. Incredible.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
What's your favorite food?
oof. I love sushi, Thai food, any of that, all that. Love it.
Oh, okay, what's your favorite sushi place then?
There's this little hole in the wall in Cornwall. I don't even know the name, but I know exactly where it is. I can't give you the address, but it is incredible. It's like a little hole in the wall, like family recipe. So good. So good.
In Cornwall, there can't be that many sushi places, so
But I can't remember the name, but I remember I literally like so good. My go-to if I'm not eating at home, go-to place for
okay,
sure.
okay, good to know. Um, what's the better halftime snack? Oranges or watermelon?
Ooh, watermelon.
You
Watermelon
seem
for sure.
very sure about that. Like oranges are not an option for you.
Watermelon, so refreshing, so good. Just that little kick of energy. But definitely watermelon for me.
Okay. Okay, my last question. So I got a hypothetical scenario for you. Okay. So
Yeah.
you have a surprise presentation in 5 minutes, and you
Okay.
didn't know about it at all until right now, and you are not prepared. What is
Yeah.
something you could talk about for 1 hour with no preparation?
No preparation.
No preparation. And yeah, you got to talk for an hour.
I'm gonna go with um I'm going to use my kinesiology background. I'm going to go back to
Okay.
school and I'm going to give a presentation on athletic training, reps, how the body works, all that stuff. I'll use my degree. I'll go back to the basics.
Smart, smart. I like it.
Went to my academic brain really fast, but yes.
Great answer.
I could, yeah, obviously we could talk soccer, but I wanted to take it up another step.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Taylor, thank you so much. This has been great. It's been really great to meet you.
Thank you. Likewise, it's been great. Thank you for having me.